Ernest,
Hi.
I guess it's only the two of us.
Okay. We're on Chav Dalet.
Hold on a second, just 1 second. Somebody out? Okay, I'm back. Really sorry.
Veriminu, we'll ask you a steer. Bibrin shel chai b'shel oifois, corrals of chai or oifois. Even though the Mishnah said you can hunt, you can choose an animal from there. Here the Brisa says ain't starting mehen beyond. So it's a kasha. The ain't noise of them is zoynois. Kasha chai, kasha oifos oifois. So bishma chai loy kasha Rabbi Yehuda Rabbana. That's a machlokes tanoim. It's not Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Hatzad sipur lemigdal utzvila bayis. If you chase a bird into a tower or a house, so it's considered trapped. Chayav lebayis udemachayav aval lebibrin lo, because a house they can't really get away, but in a corral they can get away. The chachamim are sipur lemigdal utzvila gina v'lechatzav lebibrin. And the Chachamim say by you can by chasing a tzvi into a bibber, you're already chayiv. So once it's in the bibber, it's considered trapped. If you take it out of the bibber on Yontif, it's not a problem. So the stira between the Bryce and the Mishnah can be explained by chaya that one shita is Rabbi Yehuda, one shita is Chachamim. And the oifas kasha. So maybe you'll tell me that it depends whether this corral has a roof to it or not, and a bias is kabibir makuradami, and ours would be considered like a roofed in corral, and we would understand bein Rabbi Yehuda bein Rabban and Sipur lemigdal in labayis lo that. Trapping it into a migdal would be considered trapping it, but into a bias not, because of it can still fly around in the bias. It's not easy to get them. So on Rabbi Huna hacha b'tzipor dror skinon she'ein mekabelas marus and a chanami, a wild bird will not accept marus no matter what, because it'll fly around. The Tana Rabbi Shmuel lama nikra shmo tzipor dror shedar b'bayis kivasodeh. It was in a house, like you can't. It's not considered trapped if it's in a house. Now that you explain this way, we can say that the steer between the Mishnah and Bryce is also not problematic. If it's in a small corral where you just take one step and you got it, so it's not considered that you're trapping. Habibiber Gadol, where it would be considered trapping. Now, how do you define Hechi Dami Biber Kot, Nechi Dami Biber Gadol? Amrav Ashi, Kol Hechi Deroid Abasrei Umatila B'chad Shichya. If you just take one step and you got the animal, that's considered a Biber Kot. Anything else is Biber Gadol. Vidich Biber Gadol. Inami, Kol Hechi the Ika Ukse Ukse, if it has a lot of corners that the animal can hide in, that's considered a Biber Gadol. The Idich Biber Cotton, or Inami Kolecha the Nafli Tula the Kosli Adadi, if the shade of one wall falls on the other wall, so that's narrow enough that it would be considered a Biber Cotton. The Idich Biber Gadol, Omer Lokal Bibrin Shavin, Omer Yisrael Mavin Shmuel, Allah Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. The Allah is like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. That depends on the Biber. Do you tell me the halacha is like him implying that there's a machlokes? What does it make a difference if there is a machlokes? Gemara is more today. What do you mean? We're just going to learn the Gemara and not read everything about it? Even if you have the halacha, you still have to understand the full debate. You're not allowed, if it still requires more hunting, then if you do it on Yontif, you're chayiv. Hechi dami mechusr tzeda. On Rav Yisrael Rav Yudah Amar Shmuel Kol Shomer Havei Mitzudonu Tzudenu. If you still have to say, oh, bring the trap, so we trap it, it's mechusr tzeda. Amar Lei Abai V'Hav Avzim V'Tarnagoyl and geese and chickens. Shomer Havei Mitzudonu Tzudenu. There also you say, bring the trap. V'Tanya Hatzad Avzim Tarnagoyl V'Yoner Adios Potter. You're not chayiv if you trap geese and chickens. The ones that come to their house, so they're considered like they're trapped at night. Other animals don't come to their house at night; they're considered not trapped. Doves. They do come back at night to their birdhouse. So that goes against what we said about Kluven Le'erev. If they come to their birdhouse at night and they rely on the food that you give them, then they're considered already mezuman. But if they don't rely on you for food, and you trap them on Yontif, it's considered like you trap them. Rav Miriam Ahani avidi l'revui v'ani lo avidi l'revui. Doves don't run away when you run after them. So those that run away are considered not trapped. So Gemara says, "Kulanami avidu." What do you mean? If you run out of animal, even if chicken and geese, where you say it's potter if you trap them, they run away. The kluven kamrin avidu. That means they run to their house. Or even when they go to their house, they run when you come near. Those are considered not sought, but Tarnagolim and Avzim, when they run to their house, they don't run away. Mishnah. Mitzudas chayva over dogim shasan merav yontif. If you prepared traps, erev yontif, and then you come on yontif and you see an animal in the trap, well, you told man be yontif. Ela im ken yoder shnitzodu merav yontif, unless you know for sure that the animal was trapped erev yontif. Umaysa b'nochri echad shevi dogim ragamliel. A non-Jew brought fish to Rabban Gamliel on Yontif. V'amra mutar in him. Ela shein ritzon lekabel. He said, "I have my own personal reason. I don't like him, so I don't want to accept a gift from him." So I understand. First, you tell me don't accept anything unless you know for sure it was trapped Erev Yontif. Then you give me a story, or just the opposite, that you can accept it. Might lister. So there's some missing words. This is how you have to learn the Mishnah. Safek muchan asur. If it's a suffix, whether it was prepared Erev Yontif, it's asur. But Ragamliel matir. It's a suffix. The only reason he didn't accept Shein Ritzoy L'Kabel Imen. However, Amar Rav Yidam Shmuel Ein Halacha Ram Gamliel. The halacha is not like that. The halacha is it's asur, unless you know for sure that it was trapped Erev Yontif. Iked Ma'isalaha the Tanya Safek Muchan. You don't know for sure whether it was Muchan. Rav Gamliel Matir. Rabbi Yeshua Oiser. Or Rabbi Yeshua that it's Aser. V'iked Ma'isalaha Aha. The Tanya. Shoichtim and Anigrorim B'Yontif. You can shecht chayas that were trapped in a corral, because it's as if they were trapped already. But not if you found an animal in a net. So we don't know whether it was nitzod today or yesterday. So you don't. So the Bryce is like Rabbi Yeshua, where safek we say it's asur. If you find that the traps have been sprung Erev Yontif, then we know that they were trapped Erev Yontif. If you find that they were sprung Yontif, so the Gemara says there's an internal contradiction. Agufa kasha. You come and find the trap sprung Erev Yontif, Biyadushim Erev Yontif Nitzadu. Time at the Baal Mitzvah Kolin, because you came and found it undone. Hasfeika, if you're not sure, it implies asurin. Well, say the safe way. I'm a safe. Baal Mitzvah Kolin Biyontif, Biyadushim Biyontif Nitzadu. Time at the Baal Mitzvah Kolin, Hasfeika Erev Yontif Nitzadu Mutarin. So each part of the Baraisa is opposite. You find the trap sprung Erev Yontif. Yadushim Erev Yontif Nitzodu Mutari. Hasfeika, but if you're not sure, Nasa Kamish Nitzodu Yontif Asurin. I mean, Shmuel Allah Reb Shimon ben Elazar, which is we say that if it's suffix, it's asur. V'amar Rabbi Gamliel says Mutari. If the fish that was brought to Rabbi Gamliel in Yontif. Well, what is it mutter to do? Mutar lamai. Rav Amar mutter lekabel, that they're not muktzah, but you can't eat it. V'levi Amar mutar b'achila. You can eat it. Amar Rav Loilam al yimna adam atzma b'beis medrash afilu shachas. Rav says a person shouldn't stay out of the yeshiva even a minute. Danov Levi haven't come in the Rebbe. Me and Levi were in the yeshiva at the same time when Rebbe was giving the shir. Kiyamar Lashmaitza. But Urta, at night, he had said Mutar and Bachila. Bitsafra Amar Mutar Lakabel. In the morning, the next morning, he said only you're allowed to take it, but not to eat it. Anadavi Bey Midrasha. So I was in yeshiva Hadri Bey. Initially, he had said you're allowed to eat it, but then he changed his mind. It's only allowed to touch. Levi, the love of the Midrash, Hadri didn't know that the answer had changed. Yisrael, Gentile brings a gift on Yontif to a Jew. Afilu dogim hamufulamim uperes bnei yoiman. Even fish that look moist, as if they were caught that day, or fruit that looked like they were picked that day, mutarin. So Bishop Amandar mutar on the kabel only, they're not muktzah, shapir, because you can't eat it. We understand, because maybe it was picked today. It's vadai. Now, why should they, the Gemara later on will ask, why should they be permitted? because there's a suffik muchan. So we'll see. The Gemara will debate that. But you certainly can't eat it. You're not allowed to eat fruit that were picked that day. You have to wait until until it takes the time to pick it. Well, why should it not be muktzah? Ella al karchacha, we're talking about bekavri dadimi. The fish, they look red, but they're not necessarily that day's catch. Or fruit that was also like pickled with vegetables. It's not bnei yoiman. Why were they called that day? They're like that day, but they're not really that day, and therefore that's why it's mutter. If a Gentile brings a gift to a Jew on Yontif, if you see what he brings you is still attached to the ground in the fields, osir, because we have to assume that he picked it that day. And you can't eat it that night either until it takes like 2 hours to pick it. Then you have to wait 2 hours, then you can eat it. Now, if this species that he brought you, it's not connected to the ground, it's all been harvested, so then tochat chum mutter. If it was brought within the tchum, then it's permitted. Chutz l'tchum osur, because maybe it came outside the tchum. The haba b'shvil Yisrael zeh mutter l'Yisrael acher. If it was brought for this Jew, another Jew can eat it. It wasn't done with his machshava, so there's no isra on the makabel hasheni. Okay, so tomorrow I'll be on the other side of town, so so we'll learn at 8:30, at 8:15. You know what? Let's make it 8:30 because I got to come home.
Okay.
I got to come home and everything. So I'll be in my sukkah 8:30, and then we'll do the blot.
Okay, shkoyach.
Okay, have a good yontif and a good Shabbos, everybody.